evening. India's T20 World Cup squad has been announced. The focus is shifted to the T20 World Cup after the Asia Cup debacle, and India's T20 World Cup squad has been announced. The squad is along expected lines. In fact, just a while earlier, we'd done a show on what can be expected, what is the likely squad for the T20 World Cup, and we were right about the squad. Our likely squad is what the selectors went with. So India's squad for T20 World Cup, there you have it. Most of the squad selects itself. KL Rahul, Virat Kohli, Surya Kumar Yadav with Rohit Sharma at the top. Then there was a talk around Rishabh Pant and whether Rishabh Pant should be part of the T20 World Cup squad, but they have gone in with Rishabh Pant along with Dinesh Karthik, the two wicketkeeper batsmen. Then there are all-rounders in Hardik Pandya, Harshal Patel, Deepak Hooda, Yuzvendra Chahal, Ravi Chandra and Ashwin, the two spinners, specialist spinners, and then four fast bowlers in Jasprit Bumrah, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Harshal Patel and Arshdeep Singh. So the good news is that Jasprit Bumrah is fit and so is Harshal Patel. They're back. It's a full-strength squad for the T20 World Cup. With that, the selectors have also gone in with four standby players. Who are those four standby players? Mohammad Shami. His name came up after India's performance in the Asia Cup, where they crashed out in the Super Fours. Mohammad Shami's name was then doing the round, saying he should be back with the kind of experience, the skill that he has. And in fact, he is in the standby players list. There is Shreyas Iyer in that list as well. Again, Shreyas Iyer, if you look at India's batters records this year in T20 internationals, Shreyas Iyer is in the number 2 position for having scored maximum number of runs. Then there is of course Ravi Bishnoi in that squad. These are the highest run scorers that you're looking at, but we'll get to these just in a bit. Let's go across to Ashok Malhotra, former Indian cricketer, former selector. He joins us here. Santosh Suri also joins us from Dubai, who's been covering the Asia Cup for us. But let's first get reactions from both of them before we get into the specifics of the team itself. Your first reactions, Ashok sir, it seems like the selectors heard you, but they said we've already decided the squad. We'll put Shreyas Iyer and Mohammad Shami on standby.
But tell me, Meha, why would you have Mohammad Shami in standby? And why doesn't he get to the top 15 or top 16? Having somebody like Mohammad Shami, for me, if he, as Santosh sir is saying, that they will go with the team, they'll practice with the team. Can you ignore Mohammad Shami? He's practicing with you. He's sitting in the dressing room. It will be a difficult task for any side. And how can you play Harshal Patel ahead of Mohammad Shami? I will never do that. I can't even think of doing it. So these are few things which defies cricketing logic. And why Mohammad Shami now in standby? You have totally ignored the last 6-7 months. You have totally ignored him in T20 cricket. All of a sudden, you have to rethink your strategy because you played badly in Asia Cup. So the thing is, it is I would say it is a old wine in a new bottle. Nothing more, nothing less. Their mind was made. The batting still tends to struggle. I know Virat got a brilliant 100, but still you don't know which number he's going to bat at. Because if he's going to bat at 3, that problem still remains. If he opens the inning, then what you do with KL Rahul? So these are few things which I don't know whether selectors have thought about it, management has thought about it. And Rishabh Pant, we know middle order, he tends to struggle. So what are you going to do with Rishabh Pant? Are you going to go with Dinesh Karthik or even wicket keep with KL Rahul? So I would not know what they have in their mind. But the good news is they have put those standby players like Shreyas Iyer. His record is phenomenal. Mohammad Shami, we know he's unbelievable. Ravi Bishnoi has been doing well. And Deepak Chah, who has performed whenever he's been given an opportunity. So they will be traveling, and hopefully we are taking 2 guys to World Cup who have just come back from injury, Jasprit Bumrah and Harshal Patel, and they can break up anytime.
That's right. So you look at this squad and you think that this is the same squad for the Asia Cup, except for Jasprit Bumrah and Harshal Patel. Isn't that so, Santosh sir? So you've actually not seen changes when it comes to India's batting lineup. And the problem is that in Asia Cup, we saw what happened with India's batting. And that's why, as Ashok sir was saying, that you may have this squad, but in the end of it, you know, you don't know. You have more questions than answers before the World Cup, whereas going into the World Cup, and you just have 6 matches left, going into the World Cup, you should have been very certain of some of the positions for those players. Like Virat Kohli now, after scoring 100 as an opener, does he open in the World Cup? What happens to KL Rahul? Rishabh Pant clearly failed as a finisher. So those questions still remain. You've gone with the team, but the questions still remain.
Probably what Dravid and Captain Rohit Sharma will say, the questions are with the media, but we know our answers. Like they say, they are not bothered
And
about
he's
the
learning.
outside noise. And that's the one thing. And the second thing that they probably have is that we are going to swim or sink with the same team.
Yeah.
So like he had said during the interview in, press conference in Dubai, that 90% of the team is fixed. So we had judged that probably only 2 names will be made, will be changed. So that has come true. Exactly,
Yeah.
2 names of Jasprit Bumrah and Harshal Patel have come in. Now the thing is, we are not very certain that they are 100% fit. Whether they'll be, playing Harshal Patel and Jasprit Bumrah in all the matches, or they'll obviously rotate. Anyhow, they are going to rotate and give rest to Hardik, Bhuvi, and there is one more name, I think, Amamar, Arshdeep.
Yeah.
They are going to be at the NDA and, look at their physical well-being. So in between, so they'll be moved out. So we just don't know on the bowling front what the 6 matches and who will be bowling. And I hope it's not that 3 spinners are playing and only 2 pacers are playing. And like Ashok ji said, when they land up in Australia, we don't know whether Harshal Patel and Bumrah will be 100% fit and at the top of their game. So these questions are going to remain.
Absolutely.
And hopefully these 6 matches against South Africa and Australia will answer a few of the questions, at least for the media, that answers will be there.
or maybe can add more questions, because what happens, like we said, so Bhuvi is going to be rested for the South African T20 internationals. Hardik Pandya and Arshdeep will be rested for the Australia series, Ashok sir, which means Shami and Chahar are included in both those series. They are likely to get opportunities. What if they end up doing well against Australia and South Africa? What happens then?
Exactly. I mean, I really don't know what they have in mind. You know, either they are not sure of Jasprit Bumrah. If Shami is in the standby, then that is sure that they are not sure of him. Because still a month to go. There's still time for him to recover. But now he's going to play the matches. They want him to either go through it or break down. You know, so they can have their... but if he breaks down, then who goes in his place? Shami, yes, he's an automatic choice. But the fact is, as you very rightly said, if Shami and Deepak Chahar hold magnificently, you know, then what do you do? Because our bowling was suspect in Asia.
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you leave them behind, or you leave them in the dugout or in the dressing room? Because they will not be sitting in the dugout. So that is $1 million question. And if Shreyas Iyer given a chance to bat, if he scores 100, scores 70 or 80, then what do you do with him? Do you change him with Deepak Hooda or Rishabh Pant, or you go on with the same guy?
No, so that you're right. Yeah, you're right. But
you know, so these are questions which still need to be answered, because we struggled in Asia.
Yeah,
we struggled. We didn't lose to one team. We lost to 2 teams, except for Hong Kong. We lost to everybody else. So that is for me is a $1 million question. They should have fine-tuned this team. They should have made a couple of changes. You know, thought on their feet, and that is what I'm saying. Rahul Dravid is very, very old-fashioned.
yeah,
Very, very old-fashioned, and he's going with his instincts, whether they fail or they they're successful, he goes with them. And, you know, and if he's convinced that this guy is useful, then he'll back him all the way. And if, God forbid, if he thinks like Imran Malik, he thinks he's not good enough, he gets 1 game. Avesh Khan gets 14 games. So there's no, I would say it's a different yardstick for different.
Yeah, but in this case, Shami and Chair have been included in the 2 series. Shreyas Iyer hasn't, so he wouldn't get an opportunity. Yeah. He just goes as a standby player, and then if someone gets injured, then Shreyas Iyer just goes and plays in the World Cup. I don't know how that will pan out, but when you look at this side, one of the things is also about India's death bowling woes. Ashok sir and I, we discussed this, Santosh sir, just a while back, about how with Bhuvneshwar Kumar now struggling in the Asia Cup, who is your death bowler along with Arshdeep Singh? And that is then my next question, that you've got a Deepak Chahar in there in standbys. But Harshal Patel, if you look at his numbers in the death overs, he's expensive. So, you know, everybody's been talking about Harshal Patel, maybe Harshal Patel should come back. He's expensive. The only other person you have is Jasprit Bumrah, and that's why the importance of Jasprit Bumrah in this World Cup. In the death overs, you may have Bhuvneshwar Kumar, who's very good in power plays, but in the death overs, India needs Jasprit Bumrah along with Arshdeep Singh.
Absolutely true it is. These were the factor, the bowling at death that cost us 2 of the matches against Pakistan and Sri Lanka that we have seen. Now what happens is if Bumrah comes, it's very, very obvious that he'll bowl in the last 4 overs, he'll bowl at least 2 of his overs, and that will be very crucial. So if he's at his fittest and at the top of his game, that will be a big plus for India. There is no doubt about that. And then we have seen Arshdeep can bowl very well in the death, and of course we'll also find out whether Harshal has recovered well enough and is back to his form. And so these are the 3 bowlers who are going to share the bowling at the death. And of course, these are the pace bowlers who we have got. Like Ashokji has said, we have only 4 pace bowlers. Probably it is correct that we should have taken Shami also instead of Ashwin. Ashwin, I presume, will be sitting on the bench for most of the games, and probably by inconsequential matches he'll be brought in. I think Shami would have been more useful in Australian conditions than taking 3 spinners there. Probably Ashwin could have sat out of this 15 and allowed Mohammad Shami to play the games there in Australia, where he has in the past. In 2015 World Cup also, he had done very well there at both bowling up front and at the death. So you had an additional option if you take Mohammad Shami in the 15. So let's see. These answers will be provided in the 6 games that we are discussing, that against Australia and South Africa.
You know, the other answer I want is, why is it that you kept including Shreyas Iyer in every side, every series? He gave you runs, then you dropped him, because suddenly there was this whole thing about, oh, he's susceptible to short deliveries, he cannot play short ball well. And so he was dropped, though he is still your 2nd highest run scorer this year. And now, without having, he's been given this long break, and now you're not even playing him in the Australia-South Africa series, and you're directly taking him as a standby player for the T20 World Cup. I don't know how that works, Ashok sir.
Which is surprising. The in-form batters are not being preferred. Out-of-form batters are being preferred. You know, I know they are big names, everything, but in 2020 cricket, form is very, very important. If you're out of form, if you're in different form, then you tend to struggle. You know, even Shreyas Iyer, Ishan Kishan is another one which comes to my mind. He has just been thrown away. Absolutely, you know, like he's been totally ignored.
Yeah.
Same with Shreyas Iyer. As you very rightly said, you played him in all the matches. Till you decided the Asia Cup, you don't want him. And now World Cup, you don't want him. You have put him in the standby. And Ishan Kishan is totally out of it. So that is amazing, to say the least. I don't know how the selectors work, how the minds of the management work. They have their own thinking. They know what to do, what not to do. But we as outsiders, as Rohit Sharma keeps calling all of us, is that if you do well, the bouquets will come your way. But believe you me, if you don't do well, you will be criticized, brickbats will come your way. Whether you like it or you don't like it, tomorrow you will be the same position where we are today. Tomorrow you'll be doing the same thing, and maybe that captain will be saying the same thing. But the fact is, you got to do it.
Yeah.
The honeymoon period for Rahul Dravid seems to be getting over sooner than later.
Okay, if you look at the 4 standby players, who do you think should have been in the squad? Ashok sir, I'll start with you.
I will have Mohammad Shami. Definitely Mohammad Shami in the squad. Ahead of Ravichandran, as Santosh sir said, he is going to sit on the bench. And a senior player, why do you carry him if you're not going to play? You better have a guy who can be useful, especially in Australian conditions. And I would have, as I said before, 5 fast bowlers.
Yeah.
Because 2 you're taking who are just coming back from.
What about you, Santosh sir?
Same, it is Mohammad Shami would have been more useful in the 15 rather than, waiting on the outside, waiting for somebody to get injured. And even if he gets, somebody gets injured, the process is such that you may miss him in 1 or 2 games, like we saw Deepak Chahar couldn't make it because the approval came a bit late, so he couldn't play against Sri Lanka. So probably it is better to have a player whom you trust in the 15 rather have him in standby and think that, okay, when things go bad, or somebody gets injured, we'll get him in. But it takes 2 or 3 days because you have to provide medical reports and have to be sure that the team is changing only because of medical issues and not because of the form issues. You cannot change a player because he is not scoring runs. You have to give the details to the committee, the ICC committee or ACC committee, to see that he is genuinely injured and he cannot recover in a day or 2. Only then they approve that thing. So it's better to have a guy like Shami in 15 and not get into that hassles. So that's the one guy. The other guy probably is Shreyas Iyer, but then the blue-eyed boy is KL Rahul, and he is not going to relent his position. Even his opening spot, he said, "क्या मैं बाहर हो जाऊं अगर विराट को open कराना है?" So
that almost came
confident.
from deep down, where he was suddenly like, "क्या मैं बाहर हो जाऊं? What do I do?"
So they are so confident of their positions in the team. So who's going to remove them? Of course, it's only after the results in the World Cup that repercussions will come. Then you may have, if you do well and almost are there, then your career may survive. And if it goes down, like in Asia Cup, then even the blue-eyed boys will have to go out then, and then we'll have a new thinking and new players coming in. Till then, we'll have to sink with them, swim with them, or whatever it is.
Yeah, because your batting is almost the same from last World Cup, and you said that you were going to change the approach. Your approach is pretty much the same. There's one person who's anchoring the innings, who's Virat Kohli. KL Rahul's just putting pressure on everybody else who's coming lower down the order. With the way he's batting, he's either losing his wicket early or taking too many balls to get going. Rohit Sharma seems to have adopted that approach, and he's getting the runs. He also scored 70 in one of the matches, looked good, but then decided to rest himself from the next one because he was tired, against a team that was playing 2 matches back to back in less than 24 hours. Thankfully, none of these guys have been rested from the next 2 tournaments, next 2 series, which is Australia and South Africa. But there are still a lot of questions, and I think you are right, Santosh, when you say that, we wait for a tournament like World Cup, where when things don't go right, then you think of these wholesale changes, and that's too late. But just the last thing then, before we go, the death bowling issues remain. Batting, we still don't know in terms of who is going to open. You want, Ashok sir, you said that Rishabh Pant should open, but I don't think they will listen to that. Anything else that, any other, when you look at this team, any weaknesses other than that? Yeah.
Neha, the problem is, if you're going to open with KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma, if they bat for 7-8 overs, then when Virat goes out, he has to bat in a different zone. It is not his, like he got 100 because he opened the inning. He got 20 overs to himself. Yeah. But when he goes after 10 overs, then he has to bat for just 10 overs. And he has to start hitting from ball one because he has to keep accelerating. If first 10 overs, they're getting 8 runs and over. And plus then you got Rishabh Pant, who in middle order has been a failure, believe you me. Same with Hardik Pandya. They are hit and miss players. They are not the ones who can carry the side through. So he needs somebody in the middle order, somebody who can be solid. That is why are we talking about Shreyas Iyer. He is a phenomenal player. Surya Kumar Yadav, yes, he's the one who can carry it, but he is again an improviser who takes chances. So you need from the top three, one of them to play 20 overs. Whosoever, be it Rohit Sharma, be it KL Rahul, or Virat Kohli. But Virat at number 3, I don't think, maybe I'm sticking my neck out again. I don't think he's going to be as effective as he was an opener. Although after getting his 100, we all thought we have won the Asia Cup, we won the World Cup. I know he's got his 71st 100, which is a sigh of relief, but the fact is, the problem still remains.
Can this team go on to win the World Cup? Do you think that they have all the resources? Is it a well-balanced team? They've done this, they've been experimenting for the last 1 year, and they've come back to almost the same team. Can this team go and win the World Cup? Ashok sir, quickly, and then Santosh sir, and we'll wrap this up.
See, cricket is a game of data, sir. If you get a win in 1983, we can win in 2022 also. So it is a game of great uncertainty. Sri Lanka can win, anybody can win. But the thing is, we have to bat out our skins, bowl magnificently, and take an all-round game, which is, and to be an A game. Up till now, it doesn't seem that.
Santosh sir?
Yeah, considering the current form, you would say no, it will be very difficult for them to, win the World Cup. But you never know. These 6 matches plus what form you attain in World Cup, you never know. Like he's given example of 1983 World Cup where, out of the blue and we just went from strength to strength. Probably if it happens, the country will be really rejoiced by that. But on current form, surely it doesn't seem like, but we have our fingers crossed, and hopefully the prayers of millions of fans will be heard, and ultimately we will lift the cup in Melbourne in a couple of months' time.
Okay, fingers crossed for that. But quickly, I'm just going to remind Ashok sir that he said good luck when I said yesterday that I think Sri Lanka will win.
You were spot on, Amia. You were spot on. You are a better instincts than both of us.
Okay. Now that I've thrown that
you
right.
You can also give your prediction who will win. Will this Indian
now
team
that I have forced that into this show, I've got to wrap this up. I've just been told we're completely out of time.
You can predict for Indian team also. You can predict for Indian team also now.
Will do. We'll be there throughout the T20 World Cup as well. So a lot of action coming up. We're also going to be covering the Australia and the South Africa series at home. But thank you so much, Santosh Suri and Ashok Malhotra, for joining us here. News9 Sports is what you need to subscribe to for all the latest. That's it from us. Goodbye.